Dear students, today I would like to talk to you about public-private partnership, and the structure of the session would be that first we would try to understand what is public-private partnership, what is the public sector, what is the private sector, and how the private sector has taken certain initiatives as part of their corporate social responsibility in order to bring about a change in the rural poor and to bring about their upliftment. So first we talk about the public-private partnership. How do you define what is public-private partnership? Now there are many forms of public-private partnership, but the one which is most relevant in the cases that we'll be discussing, I will talk only about that. Public-private partnerships is the partnership between the public and the private sector for the purpose of delivering a project or service which is traditionally provided only by the public sector. Now the public sector is in our country is traditionally considered that they would be involved in the social sector. The private sector has had a very limited role to play, and because it is not exactly their responsibility to be a part of it. But now increasingly the corporates are realizing that they have achieved a certain status as far as what they wanted to achieve, and it is time to give back something to society also. And so they have taken up many initiatives as part of their corporate social responsibility. And as far as the public sector, they have the strengths. They are very much accessible to the rural areas also. They are putting in a lot of efforts to bring about the upliftment of the rural poor. But what distinguishes a synergy between the private and the public sector is that the public sector has very good management, which can be a source of strength for bringing about a change in the life of the rural poor, because they have got a very good business model, they have got good market presence, they have got good clients, they have flexibility to act independently. So the private sector is very much in a position to do a lot for the rural development, and it is the synergy between the public and the private sector which will actually make the distribution of income more equitable. It is not that just one sector of the country is growing and the other sector is totally left behind. What is required is that they all should grow together, and for that it is very important that the private sector also has to come forward. And there have been some private sector companies which have brought about this kind of a change through their corporate social responsibility initiatives. Now what we are going to do is we are going to discuss the specific instances of how they have made a change in the rural sector. The first case that I would be discussing is that of ITC. Now ITC has got two initiatives which they have launched very successfully. One of them is the e-Chaupal, and the other is known as the Chaupal Sagar. Now each one of them we will be discussing in detail also. What is Chaupal Sagar? Chaupal Sagar is actually a rural mall which they have built in the rural areas. It is not as big as the malls which you see in the urban areas. It is not as big as that, because the rural mall also serves as a kind of a warehouse. It is just about 7,000 square feet in area, but it's got very high ceilings. So actually what helps is that it serves as a warehouse also. Then secondly, it's a self-service mall, and it has many multi-purpose activities like warehouse, it is a trading center, it's an information center, and this is all provided to the farmers under one roof. Then ITC also needs to sustain this kind of a venture. For that they have had a tie-up with many other entities which are also interested in the social sector. For instance, some banks, some insurance companies, petroleum and agri-input industries. and they have built a building which is just next door to the Chopal Sagar, and there they have these demonstrations by the agri input industries who would come give the information to the farmers, and the farmers will ask questions. So it becomes a kind of a trading center for information, and at the same time they are also able to sell their products, and it basically something which helps everybody who is participating in it. And then ITC also has tied up with a lot of agri institutes who provide training to the farmers. And it also organizes a lot of other activities like melas, training programs, and demonstrations to increase the number of footfalls during the off season. So you can understand that it has got certain characteristics of a regular mall, but with a difference, which is more suited to the section of society that they are catering to.
Years old Nagesh sells washing soap, and 96 years old Sanjama makes bamboo baskets for a living.
People from 150 to 200 villages and different taluks and districts come here to this Pepe Sandi.
Its ability to accommodate any type and quantity of products. In fact, from vegetables to spices, livestock to jewelry, garments to cosmetics, you name it, and a shandy has it. Illiterate women folk find shandies far more accessible than the markets in distant towns and cities.
This is to make fence for the goats. I make it in Hyderabad and bring here to sell.
Shandy. It is the most preferred weekly joint for socializing. For friends, relatives and near and dear ones, a shandy is the classic place for get-together, celebration and information sharing.
She is my mother, my daughter, my sister, my sister-in-law, and he is my brother. All these people standing here are from my village. All of us meet here, talk, and go back home.
The shandis are more than just business centers. Besides, the high outreach potential of these rural trade fairs also make them a godsend opportunity for awareness programs and publicity campaigns, all at a very low cost.
On 24th November 2002, there is Urs in Kotumulga. To spread this information in many villages is difficult, since people from 10 villages come to this place. I am distributing this leaflet in this shandy.
Then another very important initiative of ITC has been e-Chopal. Now let us try to understand what is e-Chopal. You might have all heard about it, but now let us also understand what exactly e-Chopal is. E-Chopal is actually internet-based trading which the farmers are able to conduct from the house of a Sanchalak, the person in whose house the infrastructure is established by ITC. He is also given training. He is known as the Sanchalak, and he is the person through whom they are able to sell their grain, and they are also able to get information. They are able to get a lot of the commodity prices. So they are much better informed farmers who are trying to sell their grain through this kind of a system. Now these are actually kiosks which have been set up with computers and internet connectivity at the house of the Sanchalak, as I just told you a little while ago. Then it is the principle of this whole exercise is to inform, empower and compete. The farmers can obtain information in regional languages, which is very important because regional language is what they normally converse in. And so if it is only Hindi or English, it would become very difficult for every farmer to participate. So it is done in the language that the farmer speaks, which is extremely important. Then what are the good farming practices, what they can do to increase their output, and then what is the weather forecast, what is what kind of crop insurance that they can take. So these are a host of different activities and different information which is very important for the farmer, and this is provided at the e-Choupal. The farmers directly negotiate the sale of their produce with ITC. Now ITC also gains in this process because ITC reduces its procurement cost. It is directly buying from the farmers. The farmer does not have to pay anything to the middleman. Similarly, ITC also does not have to pay anything to the middleman. So with the result, both of them are gaining. ITC is paying a much higher price than what they would otherwise get in a regular mandi. But they are gaining as well as ITC is gaining because the procurement cost is less. Then how does the Sanchalak gain? Because why should the Sanchalak be a part of this kind of exercise, which is going to take up his space, which is going to take up his time? Because he earns a fee, it's a service fee for every e-transaction that is done. And then he has also been trained by ITC. So, he is in a way empowered and helps the other farmers, his other brethren to also gain from this whole process. So everybody is basically a gainer through the system of e-Choupal. Now each kiosk, that is each internet system that has been set up, it serves about 600 farmers from the surrounding 10 villages in a radius of 5 kilometers, and already 4 million farmers have gained from this kind of a service. Now what is the impact that e-Choupal has had? The farmers' incomes have increased. As you can know, they can negotiate for a better price. So obviously they can get a better price for their produce, which they would not have otherwise got. Then farmers get real-time information about the prices of agricultural produce despite physical distance from the mandis. Earlier they did not know what is the price of this grain that I am selling or this produce that I am trying to sell. The reason was that they were not informed. What is the price, let us say just 5 kilometers away? They did not know. So they would have to pay whatever was being offered, and even the middlemen would sometimes try to take them for a ride and would tell them, in fact most of the times they did take them for a ride, would tell them that look, this grain is not good enough, it is too small, and they did not have the negotiating power, they did not have the bargaining power with the middlemen, and they had to sell whatever price was offered to them. So now this way they are able to negotiate for a better price from ITC. Then the quality of the produce has also improved with better information. Now they have got resources, they are able to produce better, and they are accordingly able to also, they are motivated to produce better because they get a better price for it. So everything helps. Then even the small farmers have benefited from this exercise, and it facilitates a two-way exchange of goods and services between rural India and the world. Now what happens, it has got a very long-term impact. The farmers get better prices, so obviously their buying capacity increases. They are also able to make a, let us say, they can place an order for some consumer durable which they would always wanted to buy, but they were not able to do so because of the fact that they did not have the buying capacity to do so. Now with increased buying capacity they can place order for that. Then industrialization also increases, with the result that the whole economy gains in this process. So it is a small exercise started at the grassroots level, but which has a very long-term impact for the farmers and for the economy as a whole. Now let us look at the macro impact of e-Choupal, which is that it's a business model which enhances the global competitiveness of Indian agriculture, and it triggers a cycle of higher productivity because they have got better information, so obviously they can produce better and better quality. That is very important too. They have got higher income. Then the farmer is also able to take higher risk because he is in a better position financially. Then he can make larger investments. The next cycle is that he can make larger investments, and finally it leads to higher quality and productivity. So you can see that this whole cycle gets completed in which everybody is a gainer. Then higher rural incomes have also triggered demand for industrial goods, as I told you. So the economy is also gaining in the process. Now, what is the present and what is the future of eChaupal? Now, eChaupal has already, it is one of the largest initiative in rural India. It has got 7,000 kiosks in 10 states, which is UP, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Maharashtra. And ITC is so motivated after starting this initiative that they have decided to establish about 2,000 eChaupals by 2012 in 1 lakh villages in 15 states and service 15 million farmers. So you can realize that the impact of eChaupal is just set to grow, and everybody is going to be a gainer in this process. Now, there are certain pitfalls of every model, and some of the pitfalls of the ITC model are that what happens is that the whole truck is weighed with the grain, and what ultimately it results in is that only the bigger farmers, the people who can supply that much grain, they are the only ones who can actually sell to ITC. What happens is that if a farmer does not have 1 truck full of grain, he cannot sell, because they will not be able to weigh it otherwise. They weigh the whole truck, first it is full of grain and then when it is empty. So only the bigger farmers can gain from this. Now what happens is that if farmers, they pool together their grain and they say, okay, together we will sell. That is also not acceptable, because the grain would be different. One farmer would have a different kind of grain, the other farmer would have different kind of grain, and they would not like to mix. So with the result that some small farmers may be left out of this kind of a procurement process. And sometimes even the big farmers, they suffer losses, because if the company rejects their grain under some criteria, then in that case they have to suffer the transport losses. So there are certain pitfalls of this kind of a model also, but overall if you look at the impact and the far-reaching good consequences that it has had so far, one would say that a few small setbacks can always be ignored if the larger good is achieved. So this is as far as the e-model, the eChaupal model that we were discussing.
ITC faced an entirely different challenge in the coffee growing districts of Coorg, Karnataka, where the world's most eco-friendly plantations are. Here is a well-established plantation culture with infrastructure that works, well-organized farms, reliable counseling and support systems, curing facilities that meet all current international norms, and quality assurance processes tuned to the preferences of the global consumer. But all at the mercy of a volatile international price line. This is where ITC intervenes with Planters Net.
ತಾವೀಗ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಐಟಿಸಿ ಐಬಿಡಿ ಅವರ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಆಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟರ್ಸ್ ನೆಟ್ ನ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಪುಟ.
Opening up many more trading options through an electronic marketplace. Also working side by side with small local self-help groups.
Self-help group ಗೆ ಐಟಿಸಿ ಅವರು ಏಜೆನ್ಸಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ನಮಗೆ. ಐಟಿಸಿ ಅವರು ನಮಗೆ ಇದು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಐಟಿಸಿ ಕಂಪನಿ ಅವರು. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಇದರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ನ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಬಹುದು.
Assisting them to attain higher levels of international competitiveness.
ಇದರಿಂದ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ highest buyer ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಬಹುದು.
Most of us deal with cured coffee. So do they have a platform for cured coffee?
They have something called Traders Net, where it's not just a platform. In fact, you can trade your coffee online. If you tell me your quantities of coffee available, we can auction your coffee through various tools that are available on Traders Net.
ITC's most recent initiative is in wheat and paddy, which is India's agri-economy, where supply far exceeds demand, prices are stagnant, and the farmer is demotivated. In this state of inertia, ITC's eChaupal acts as an effective instrument of change, fundamental and far-reaching.
आपके माल ले जाने के बाद में ये पता लगेगी आपको कि हाँ वास्तव में ई-चौपाल से कितना विशेष फायदा हुआ किसानों के लिए, हम लोगों के लिए जो फायदा हुए वो ई-चौपाल से मंडी से कभी कल्पना नहीं की हम लोगों ने। ऐसे ई-चौपाल से हमारे
सुबह कह बजे जो बना मंडी में बढ़िया गेहूं तो वो ये रेट जा रहा हो घटिया तो ये रेट जा रहा हो।
हमारी ई-चौपाल में ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। हमारी ई-चौपाल में जैसी क्वालिटी अच्छी क्वालिटी तो अच्छे ही दाम आपको मिलेंगे और नगद मिलेंगे। ऐसा कोई
And they're thrilled to get premium prices for premium quality. The farmer is also web-linked to empaneled labs for prompt quality certification of his product.
को सैंपल भेजो
जी हाँ,
बाकी रिपोर्ट क्या आई है?
अभी 1 मिनट बताता हूँ। आपका सम्मेलन अच्छा है जिसका हेक्टोलीटर वेट 795 है, नमी 9% है।
The eChaupal has become a trusted knowledge bank.
अच्छा क्यों नहीं बार-बार जब मौसम का मतलब गड़बड़ी हो जाती है मुझे आईटीसी चौपाल में जो मालूम पड़ेगी हमको
अगले 24 घंटों का पूर्वानुमान, मौसम खुश्क रहने की संभावना, तापमान 39 सेंटीग्रेड.
And his means to get the ultimate value addition his produce merits, where product identity is preserved and linked to varying customer preferences. Overcoming the greatest odds, reaching where roads don't. Installing VSAT dishes where there's no connectivity. Solar panels where there's no power. Setting up 6 kiosks per day. ITC is taking India through a new agricultural evolution. Ultimately, empowering the farmer to face the future with confidence.
About some other corporates also who have brought about some very significant changes in the life of the rural poor and the farmers. And another one such company is Emami. Now let us know what is the Emami initiative. Emami has devised a project of self-employment in the rural areas with the objective of providing employment to the rural youth, empowerment of women, poverty eradication, and contribute to economic and social development. Now let us understand how they have done it. So they have 2 schemes. One is known as the Emami Mobile Traders, that is known as the EMT, and the other is Emami Small Village Shops, that is ESVS. Now this project was started in 2004 in West Bengal, and now it is operational in Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra and Karnataka. Now what happens is in this, the rural unemployed rural youth and women, they earn regular and sustainable income through direct marketing. And how it is done is that they are given the goods and they set up these shops. Some of them are mobile, some of them are small shops, through which they do direct marketing on behalf of Emami, and they are paid a certain commission. So with the result that they have got a certain employment opportunity which has been provided to them by Emami, and Emami products sell, and at the same time the rural youth are also able to get employment, for which they do not have to make a very big investment. Now we come to another very well-renowned company, and that is Reliance. You all know about Reliance, I am sure about that. Everybody's heard about the great work done by this company. Now let us understand how Reliance has fulfilled its corporate social responsibility. Now, social welfare and community development is the crux of Reliance corporate social responsibility, and they believe that every business has a purpose, and that is to serve the human needs. That is, as far as, of course, they have a business model from which they are going to earn the revenue in order to invest in their corporate social responsibility initiative. Now, what Reliance does is that it keeps a very close contact with the communities around its manufacturing facilities to bring about qualitative changes. Now, what Reliance and a lot of other companies also do this, that they would like to focus around their own manufacturing areas, because that is where, you know, their area of operation is, and they can keep close contact with the communities who are already living there. Now, Reliance areas of support are healthcare, education, infrastructure development, environment, disaster management, and support to other social development organizations. Now, what exactly is the Reliance initiative? How they have really done it? Let's try to understand that. Reliance has a complex manufacturing facility at Jamnagar. Now, they serve the rural community in the area of health, education, cultural support. Then they create some village infrastructure, they provide fodder to the cow sheds and supply drinking water. There is another manufacturing facility that they have, and that is at Hazira. There also they provide healthcare, educational infrastructure facilities, and they take care of the extracurricular activities for a cluster of about 7 villages. Now, Reliance is a very big company, so they have many such instances which I would like to tell you about, that what they have done in the rural sector as their CSR, corporate social responsibility, and that is the specific instances are that Reliance provides assistance to students by providing books, uniforms, shoes and stationery. This is a very basic need, probably for an urban child. It's not that easy to understand because they are already provided all this by the parents. But for rural children, it is something which they do need, and sometimes for lack of these basic infrastructure facilities, their studies are hampered. So Reliance has stepped in, and Reliance says, fine, I'll provide you with all this. Then health and hygiene awareness programs for students, and they regularly organize medical camps. Then company has also implemented HIV and AIDS and DOTS program. DOTS program, are you aware of what DOTS program is? DOTS is for TB, you know, for eradication of TB. There is a DOTS program which is actually a government program. They have implemented this at Hazira and Jamnagar, and it's in the process of replicating the same at other manufacturing divisions. And this initiative is a public-private partnership between the government, the NGOs and Reliance. Reliance also operates the Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital, and it is at Lodi Valley, and renders quality medical services to the rural population and highway accident victims. So you know how in so many ways Reliance is there to provide their corporate social responsibility. And Reliance also operates free medical, diagnostic and therapeutic services at neighboring villages of several of its manufacturing locations. Community Medical Center has been established at Moti Khavdi, which is a village near Jamnagar, and this is open 24 hours a day, and this provides absolutely free medical care to about 1.2 lakh villagers of nearby areas. It has also taken the initiative to propagate the concept of solid waste, that is dry and wet waste management, in the neighboring villages to help villagers in keeping their environment clean and garbage free. It also runs special training programs to equip the young people of neighboring villages with life and work skills necessary for sustaining livelihood. And many times Reliance provides them an opportunity to get trained at their own manufacturing divisions. Reliance also organizes extensive awareness programs on improved packaging solutions for potato and other vegetables for farmers all over India through the use of Leno bags. Now, Leno bags are with low-cost packaging material. Earlier, the farmers were using different kind of packaging, which was also more expensive. While the Leno bags, they are less expensive, and they can also be used in the cold storages. So the farmers have gained greatly by this knowledge which has been provided through the awareness campaign of Reliance. So this is as far as Reliance has done so much work in the rural sector. They'll continue to do so. It's a big company, and it's the efforts of such companies that is bringing about some measure of change, along with, of course, the efforts of the government in the rural sector. There are some other companies also who have done some wonderful work for the rural sector, and another such company is IFFCO. Are you aware what IFFCO manufactures? Do you know what it is? Okay, it manufactures fertilizers. It's directly, of course, it's a company which is directly associated with the farmers. But apart from what they are doing in manufacturing fertilizers, it has started the IT-enabled services for farmers and cooperatives. It has got multilingual content, which means that it is in the language of the farmer. It has established a lot of touch screen information kiosks, something similar to the model of ITC. And this disseminates information on agricultural practices and nutrient-related issues, prevailing prices, arrivals in mandis, spots and futures trading information, weather, plant disease, and the technologies which are appropriate for the rural areas. All this information is available to the farmers at the touch of a button. So even if they do not know the language, they would be able to access the information just by using the touch screen. And it is available in the language which they understand. They may not be literate, they may not be able to read and write, but at the same time they would be able to use the kiosk to get the information that they want. Now it has also started a information service to the farmers through mobile. And let's understand how they have done that. This was a project which started in mid-2007, and it is known as the IFFCO Kisan Sanchar Limited. This is a service which they provide along with Airtel, and this is a voice SMS that is sent to its members, which provides agricultural advice in the form of minute-long voice messages in the local language. Now what Airtel has done is it has designed SIM cards which are specially meant for this section, and it is operational in 18 states. The farmers receive about 5 messages every day. Today the program is one of the rare mobile projects that have successfully scaled, and it has continued to grow. Now they can even use the mobiles for making their regular phone calls, but for that they have to pay, as they pay for any regular call, they have to pay money. But for these SMSs that they receive every day and the voice messages that they receive, they do not have to pay any money. This is a free service that has been given to them by Airtel and by IFFCO. And there is also a helpline which puts the farmer in touch with experts on farming and veterinary medicine. Now what happens is, if suppose the farmer's animal is not well and the farmer wants some advice, he can easily dial the helpline, get the information that he requires, carry it out himself, and then he can, it may not be possible for him to actually visit a vet, but he would be able to cure the animal on his own because of the helpline service that has been provided. There is a small minuscule charge which is taken from the farmer for this helpline service also, but it is something which provides a very big service to the farmer, so he does not mind paying it. Then we come to another very big company, which is ONGC. That is, you all know, it is Oil and Natural Gas Commission. ONGC has been extending full support in the overall development of the areas around its operation all over the country. So you can see that this model is also something similar to what has been done by Reliance. They are also providing the initiatives around their own manufacturing facilities. The reason is that it is because of better monitoring, because something far away from their manufacturing divisions, they would not be able to do so that well. And secondly is that it also, because they know the community well there, their officers are in direct touch with the community, so they know what their problems are, how they can help to alleviate it. So that is the reason why they are having their initiatives more around their own manufacturing facilities. ONGC has also followed the same model as Reliance. Now what happens is that projects are identified by ONGC at the plant level by involving the district administration, local representatives and recognized voluntary organizations. Major emphasis has been given for promotion of education, health and community development, and also the time when there is any calamity which strikes that region, then ONGC steps in with their own efforts. Now, in what way is ONGC giving a helping hand? And that is, it is supplementing the efforts of existing health centers in the rural areas. So the rural areas health centers already exist. Now what it does is that it also provides its services. As you know, many times it does happen that the health centers do exist, but the doctors are not available. They do not come. So in that case, ONGC steps in and provides medicines, it provides doctors' support. So with the result that it's functioning health centers that exist in the rural areas around their own manufacturing facility. Then they also undertake construction and renovation of schools and assistance to pupils from the weaker sections. They provide civic amenities like sanitation, clean drinking water, and to the panchayats and to the gram sabhas, development of agriculture and other cottage industries, animal husbandry, development of infrastructure facilities. And now finally we come to some of the initiatives that have been taken as public-private partnership by WIMCO and by ITC in the forest area. Some of the forest-based industries, that is ITC, WIMCO, they have joined hands with farmers for production of raw material. As you all know that WIMCO manufactures those matchboxes. So for that they require wood, and the wood has to be sourced obviously from the forest. They have joined hands with the farmers to produce that wood, which they would buy from the farmer at a predetermined price. So they provide all the know-how to the farmer. They wait for the time till the trees have grown up, and then after that they buy it at a predetermined price, which is beneficial both for the company as well as for the farmer. Similarly, ITC, for their own paper pulp industry, they also have joined hands with the farmer. It's as part of their PP initiative. So how they have done it is that WIMCO provides the poplar seedlings, technical assistance, arranges for fertilizer input, and it buybacks at an agreed price. ITC Bhadrachalam also has done the same with eucalyptus seedlings. So this is again a win-win situation for both the parties. The farmers gain because they know that their produce will be sold at a certain price, and at the same time the company also gains by having a captive production facility which they can access after paying for the price of the produce. Now what happened is that they have also have their own R&D divisions in which they have developed the seedlings which are of good quality, and they have provided these seedlings to the farmers. And they have now, what has happened is that after they buy back, that obviously the income of the farmers has also increased, because now he has a captive buyer to whom he can sell his produce. However, this scheme has not been very successful, because what happened is some of the farmers cheated on the companies before the 5-year period, which it normally took for the plants to grow to a certain height before they could actually be cut, they sold it off to some other third party. And it was ITC and Vimco who had invested a lot of money in giving them the seedlings and the other inputs as well, and so they lost in the process. So this kind of a PP initiative has not been very successful, but that does not mean that none of the PP initiatives can be successful. It's just that there can always be some instances in which there can be greed which can take over, but by and large the farmers and the companies both have gained from the PP initiatives that they have undertaken. So finally what we can say is that the public-private partnerships have been largely successful. More corporates need to step in and work for rural development. They also need to synergize their efforts with the ultimate aim of reaching out to the masses at the grassroots level. And the development of the country has to be all-inclusive. And the corporate sector can make it happen through their corporate social responsibility initiatives. Dear students, as we have just seen through this presentation, we have learned about what is public-private partnership, what is the concept of public sector, what is the concept of private sector, and how they can synergize their efforts to work for the upliftment of the rural sector. There have been many cases in which the corporate sector has come forward. They have given their own input, their own help and support in the upliftment of the rural sector, and that the cases specifically we have discussed are that of ITC. We have discussed about Emami, IFCO, ONGC, Reliance, and also Vimco, with the result that we find that most of these corporates, they have given their support to the rural poor, but it is not that it's only been the rural sector which has gained, it's also that they have also gained in the process. And now when the government is, in fact just yesterday I was reading in the newspaper that the government sector is actually thinking of a proposal of making corporate social responsibility tradable. That is just like carbon credits. The corporate social responsibility would also be earning certain units which would be tradable later on by the company. And how it will happen is that the companies which have got less CSR units, they would be able to buy them from the companies which have got more CSR units. So it will be a win-win situation for the companies in other ways also. So it is something which they have to step up their efforts. They have to increase their efforts all the more, because the society has to all grow equitably. It should not be a society of have and have-nots. And for that the corporate sector has to step in, because it has got the resources, it has got the management, and obviously the government cannot be everywhere. It is not possible for the government only to be doing everything. Why do we always think that the government didn't do this and the government did not do that? Why don't we think about what we did not do? So when the companies think about that, then obviously they would be able to make a difference, and for that they have to continue to strive. Some of them have already done very good work in this area, but there is always scope for more improvement, and many more companies need to step in, and they have to supplement the efforts which have already been put in by the government. So it is that everybody has to grow together so that we have a equitable society, and that is certainly possible through the public-private partnership, which is already in operation now from a lot of companies, but then there are a lot of other companies also which can step in and make a difference. And maybe with this proposal of CSR tradable units, they would be definitely be motivated also to do the same. And you can see more of these films we have incorporated in this particular presentation. You will find that how practically it is actually done. This has been shot on locations, and they have themselves, they have in their own words, they have voiced their opinion about how it has made a difference in their life. So I hope that you have understood this concept of public-private partnership and how it will make a difference to the rural sector. Thank you very much.